My name is Daphne, and today we are actually doing our fire tonic, or at the very least we are filtering our fire tonic. Now this has been sitting in a, I think, 3-gallon bucket for 3 months, literally to the date. Like I actually put it on the calendar that we needed to filter this out. In this bucket there is 4 bottles. I'll put this down. There's 4 bottles of fire tonic with the mother in it, so you can actually see it at the bottom. So 4 of these bottles. There is also, and these are 32 fluid ounces. There's also 5 white onions, a whole container of dried cayenne pepper, so very hot. There's also about 7 to 8 like huge gingers, which were literally skinned, and then everything was pureed. We have horseradish root. I'll just post below all of the ingredients. So tons of stuff actually went into it. It was allowed to ferment or do whatever it's going to do for 3 months. Granted, it may not ferment completely because stuff in vinegar doesn't ferment, but like it combines, right? And then I actually made sure that everything was blended, and then you just kind of put it in here and you let it sit, and then make sure there's a cap on it because it will be foul. And now we're going to unleash the madness in the air outside, so that like you don't want to do it in the house. I made the mistake of doing that, and it took 2 days to clear the scent, even with incense. So you would do that outside. Granted, the backyard is full of not honeybees, but like the annoying bees. So I think I might repel them with the fire tonic, but then I'm going to attract the flies. So I just have to do this as quickly as humanly possible. So I have another container, which is a very smaller container, because I have to filter all of the fire tonic into this container. So there's gloves, because there's turmeric in here, and turmeric will stain your hands. So, and then the pepper, so you just don't want to get this on your hands. So I have gloves. And then we also have our cheesecloth, which you can get on Amazon. If you can find it at a grocery store, you should get it there too. This was way too expensive, but I do have this. They say it's reusable. Once you filter off fire tonic, it is never reusable. You will always want to check it because there's so much product in here. In any case, you have the cheesecloth. I got 2 of these just in case, but 1 should definitely be enough. I also have a pair of scissors because you will need that. Then this bucket has been cleaned because you want to put the cheesecloth over this, and then I do have some twine, which I'm going to use to hold the cheesecloth. I did not use that last year. It turned out to be a huge mess. I had to filter the stuff twice because everything's been blended. You don't want the blended items into the finished product. You literally just want the liquid. So you want to bind. You want to put the cheesecloth over the smaller container first. So you do need the container that has the fire tonic, and then you need a smaller container to hold the filtered liquor. Filtered liquid. And then after that point, discard you want to discard like the blended items, and then you want to have a filter to actually get the fire tonic into the bottles. So we'll do that. I'll take these out. All right, so I got everything. I used the entire whole thing. You don't actually have to use this much mesh, but because there's so much product at the bottom of the bucket, you do want to make sure that you filter pretty well. It's still going to be some residue in the containers, and you do want that, but you don't want chunks of like blended. You don't want chunks of like blended ginger and garlic and like parts of pepper, because that's going to make it very difficult. It's already going to be disgusting to take this anyway when you're sick. It's going to be even more disgusting if you're choking on chunks of stuff. So like you want to make it as smooth as possible. Now my fire tonic is pretty potent. I don't add any honey or any type of flavoring like that, because I personally don't like the taste of vinegar, period. And so I feel like that makes it equally disgusting. I'm also aware of the fact that this isn't necessarily supposed to be flavorful. Like, it's supposed to be medicinal. I create my fire tonics for medicinal purposes. So any types of colds or flus or whatever, I'm actually able to like get at least the heal time down to 2 to 3 days, as long as I kind of also incorporate soups in the diet. No wheats, no sugars, no dairies, which we don't really consume anyway, because that actually would slow down the healing process for most things. But I found I can get most things down to like a 2 to 3 day suffering period if we do the fire tonic, 2 to 3 times a day, depending on the severity of the illness. And usually you want to take this after you eat, because it can kind of disrupt your stomach a little bit. So I wrap some twine around this, and it's about 2 to 3 layers of mesh on the inside, and we're going to unbox the funk that is this juice. And now we're going to unleash the fermentation of this. At least it will scare away the bees, but I do know that it will probably attract the flies. So we're going to try to do this quickly. And I'm going to put this stuff on the ground because if anything leaks, then at least it's on the ground and I can just hose it off. Once I fill up these bottles as well, I will cap them really tightly and then hose them off as well. And then let them dry individually in the house. And then I will label them Fire Tonic and the actual date that they were bottled. And then I'll put the ingredients on the back because every now and again I do gift this and I do want them to know exactly what's in it. But all right, we're going to open this. Yes, foul. Let's see. It smells how you would think something would smell that's been sitting for a couple of months, but here it is. Alright, so just... Uh-oh. The funk of 40,000 years. Yep, that's the Fire Tonic. You want to taste it? No. Come here. No. I want you to tell me how it tastes. No. Please, Mommy. You got to tell me how it tastes. No. All right, this is the Fire Tonic. This is all of the stuff that got blended, the beautiful turmeric colors and peppers and gingers and garlic and all types of good stuff. It's sitting inside of the mesh cloth with the twine around the container. And I'm going to lift it as soon as I see that it has kind of drained and I actually help it to squeeze it out a little bit. Which is why you do want to leave some excess at the bottom. I wrapped it so it wouldn't touch the ground, but you want to leave some excess just because you will need to like be able to filter this out and you're going to need a lot to twist it. So, yeah, there it is. Alright. Gather the corners and then unwrap it, and hopefully I can reuse this string. So there we go. And nothing wasted in. I have no product. That's why you do want to keep the mesh cloth a little, like make it a little thicker. And then we're gonna just Alright, now that we have the liquid from our Fire Tonic here, and it's a lot, I actually think we're going to have some extra. Usually, if I only do 4 bottles, or if you do 2 bottles or 3 bottles, you always have like half a bottle left over, and that's just from everything else that decomposed or mixed in from the stuff you mixed it in with. So like the onion residue and turmeric residue, it kind of adds an extra half a bottle to your Fire Tonic, so you actually get extra in it. So I'm going to be able to fill these up, and then I do have some other ones that have already been cleaned out and sanitized that I will be adding the rest of the Fire Tonic to. So I'm going to take this bucket, and actually I want to, well, it doesn't matter, I can hose everything off later. We're just going to put these bottles in here. I have found that it is easier to fill them up if they are able to be upright. Last time I actually set them on the ground, and what I thought was a decent place, and they toppled over and it was a mess. Last year, the year before last, it's always been a mess, but every year you get a little bit, you learn a little bit more. So next year I know to bring out a spatula or a side scraper and a couple of plastic bags. But okay, so put these inside of the bucket, and then I literally just take this funnel, and we're going to very slowly, and hopefully without splashing, because anything you get this Fire Tonic on is going to smell, so you're going to have to hose everything off. Alright, so we're literally just going to put the funnel in the bucket and very slowly fill it up. And if there's any seepage or spillage, we can always just take our hose and just clean everything out. And then this bucket is literally going to get bleached. And yeah, sit in some diluted bleach water for a couple of days, and then I'll clean it out. You do want to leave a couple of inches on the top. I think I overfilled that one. And if you lift a little bit, you can actually pour a little better. Like I said, this is the reason I do it outside. You can kind of make the messes and always just kind of clean it up. Right. Nook Nook, where you at? Okay. Go away. There we go. I overfilled it, but it's okay. Not in the house making a mess. Although I don't want to waste product. But I do need to run in and get one more container. And that one's filled perfectly, I think. We can take a little bit out of this one. And this one. And this one. And even though it's messy, I am going to put the lids on these. Like I said, they're getting hosed down with some soapy water. So it won't allow for the water or anything to get in there. And I have to run in really, really quick and get one more container, which is going to have to be a large one because we do have quite a bit left. And then they'll sit in the house on a table to dry off the bottles. And then we'll be done. So be right back. All right, we got 2 additional containers. All right, and in we go. Oh, we have a lot of it left. Yeah. I added more ingredients, so. With these containers, I literally got this one from the dollar store, but you can just seal it. There we go. And leak proof. It's really cute. Alright, we got one more bottle. I'm gonna see if away. Alright, gloves on. And in we go. I think this is way more than enough. I should probably take some from the mason jar. I don't think it's gonna fill it up all the way. I'll take a little bit from the mason jar just because I think we'll use this one up first probably. Alright, so we only started with 4 bottles of fire tonic and we ended with 4 bottles of 4 bottles of apple cider vinegar. We started with, and a bunch of stuff, and we ended with 4 bottles of fire tonic, 2 of these bottles, and basically a full mason jar. So, not bad. And there's no water getting inside of these, but I do need to kind of rinse them off. Good thing about these containers that they're leak proof, which is good. Yeah, that's not fire tonic.